We're live on Facebook. We did it. And now all you have to do now is just share it, and then you can share it with your crew. Hey,
Okay.
everybody. I know you guys have a treat. So I am being interviewed, even though I'm on our normal platform, but which is fun, of course. So we're going to do things a little differently. It's public now, so you can share it on your group. You can.
Okay, let me see. Okay. Oh, gotcha. All right, there we go. So I'm adding this to the Sisters on Fire page, and then we'll get started from there then, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. Happy, what is it? Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
Yes. Happy hump day. And with that, my name is Natasha Nurse. I'm the host of the Sistas on Fire IRL series, which is a series based on celebrating women who are change agents, who are just badass at what they do, like Dr. Ross. And so your family knows who you are, but I would love, since, Sisters on Fire wants to get to know you, our community, share, how you got started, how you became the woman you are today.
So that's a great question. I would say that my journey to becoming a self-care crusader, like so many people know, at least on my platform know, was out of sheer frustration. For me, being a mom, a wife, a sister, a daughter, wearing so many hats became so overwhelming for me. I was actually about to get a divorce. I feel like we were on a road to getting the divorce after about 7 years, 2 kids, a dog, a 5-bedroom house, people getting bigger jobs. And it became too much for me. And I finally just felt like I was going to bust. And every thing that everybody did just was getting on my nerves, but I just kept shoving it down. Like, I'm fine. The world said I was a success. I'm a doctor. I have a great husband. I have these healthy children. They're athletic and smart. I have the house. I have everything I'm supposed to have to be happy. And Natasha, I was not happy. I really wasn't. And I felt overwhelmed, but I did not feel like I had a right to complain. And so that really started, me and my husband going to counseling 5 years ago, really started the journey to me realizing that I had completely omitted self-care for my life, and that my family and my life was really paying the price for that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's a short but sweet story.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So what was step one for you then in kind of reprioritizing your self-care journey, and what did that mean specifically for you and your family?
So we actually went to counseling, and I can tell you, when I went to counseling, I always tell people I was sitting there like this. Like, head counselor, tell him he needs to clean up. He needs to do better. If he did this, I'd be happy. If the kids did this, I'd be happy. And I really sat there, and he was really trying. He actually said, you know what? I acknowledge that I should help more around the house, that she's doing a lot. I want to support our household and help her. And he started to help. And so sessions went by, and the counselor was like, are you happy? I'm like, no, I'm not happy. And what I realized was that it really wasn't him. It was me. I had to acknowledge that I was feeling overwhelmed. I was trying to control everything. I wasn't giving myself a break. I wasn't allowing myself to understand that in 2006, I became a wife. In 2006, I became a mom. In 2008, I became a mom again. We bought a big house. In 2008, with an infant and a 2-year-old, I became an executive in corporate America. And that I never even allowed myself to stumble every time that I felt that I wasn't achieving excellence. I felt like a failure. I'm a new mom. I don't know anything about kids. I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do with these babies? Everybody needed me for something. And I just surrendered all of the time I would normally go for myself to other people.
Yeah.
And I underestimated what that time that I had spent before I got married, and all the joy I felt, all the things that led me to my husband, all the things that led me to have healthy children, that I had completely given that up. I was used to work out. I stopped working out. I stopped hanging out with my girlfriends. I was just obsessed with having a clean house, and and then everything just in order. But really, I wasn't dealing with my own feelings. I had stopped getting to know me. And so that to me was really, I think was my rock bottom.
Gotcha.
So after we finished counseling, I actually continued by myself. And I realized that I could not have done it on my own. There's no way that I could have even identified some of the things I had been burying so deep inside of me by myself. And I tell people, I think the enemy tries to get us alone and isolate ourselves so that he can work on our minds and our fears and all these things. And we work in isolation. And you ever hear suffer in silence, or don't tell your business in the streets?
Yeah.
It comes from the enemy wanting us to be alone so that he can pick at our minds and just, help us. It's not good. So once I acknowledged it, I got help. And that was the first step to me rediscovering myself.
Okay. And while you were going through that journey, because you do so much, did you also have a career change with that, or you were just managing everything? And I'd love for you to spell that out for, Sisters on Fire people so they understand all the things that you do.
So what I did was, for me personally, I got a list of all the things that I was doing that I could take off my plate. That was the first thing. And I still have that list. I still look at this list and say, okay, what can I take off my plate that is not a me necessity? That is not, it's something I can farm out. Whether it's cooking, laundry is a new thing. Oh, I found a laundry service. I'm in love with them. But so I always tell people I practice self-care. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Still learning. And so if I add something, I always make sure, what can I take away that does not impact the things that me or the people or the things that I love. So I think that's the first thing I did, was just make a list of all the things I did and see what I could take off. So for me, the first thing was cooking. I learned that cooking for the family was stressing me out. So I learned, what were my triggers? What were the things that were triggering me and why? I started finding your why. And once I found my why, I could communicate that properly to my husband, who was on eggshells. He don't know he might do something. He don't know what might trigger me. And so I found that once I understood my trigger and my why, then once I communicated that, then it became a conversation and not a confrontation.
Gotcha.
So it was my own mindset shift, but it had to happen within me first. And then once I did that, then I can communicate that with the world.
Gotcha. And from a career perspective, particularly while you were doing this, how did it affect all the different roles that you have and the different hats that you wear? And spell out, what do you do so that everyone knows?
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. So for me, 5 years ago, I wasn't the self-care crusader. This has been a journey. So at the time, I'm working in corporate America. We actually downsized our 5-bedroom house. So in terms of a career, I look to see, is this making me happy? Is this what I want to do? How can I pour into my career and my family and me? What are my priorities? So in terms of my career, nothing really shifted, but I shifted. And so I looked at, again, the list was where I considered the hats. I started looking at the hats I was wearing, was my list. And so I started to say, again, what can I take off? What hat am I putting on, and what hat is being put on me? And so I just looked and reevaluated. So in terms of my career, things started to shift over the last 2 years, I would say, where my brand, and I really feel that my mission is to become is to build an army of self-care crusaders. And that's where I would say my career shift is starting to happen now.
Okay.
I feel so passionate about it. And when you look at it's heart health, right? February is heart health month. And so look at the numbers for women. I've been seeing this degrade in women's health for many years as a pharmacist for almost 20 years. Just understanding that, right? So being able to have more of a voice to talk about it, I would say that for the last 2 years is where I can truly see this shift. But had I not done the prep work, Natasha, I wouldn't even be able to do this.
Gotcha.
First, I think, understand the hats you're wearing, by making a list of them, and then you can see it, and then you can decide from there, what am I doing? What is self-imposed? And then also, what do I have to do? Okay, gotcha. Does that answer the question?
Yes, and just to follow up, so when you say raise an army of health crusaders, what does that mean for the general public?
So raising the army of self-care crusaders is when you don't need me anymore. When I know that you are thinking about your self-care. And I always tell people, I help women embrace self-care without guilt or apology. And so what does that look like? My self-care is different from your self-care. So once you decide that you need self-care, the next step is defining what your self-care is. And so building an army of self-care crusaders is, to me, replacing those women who are saying, I'm a superwoman. I'm a superwoman.
Gotcha.
We're amazing people. We are a great gender. We are a strong gender, but superwoman's not real. Superwoman has no children. I didn't see her with a significant career, a mortgage, a husband, or dating. I didn't see her with trying to figure out her waistline or trying to get her eyelashes good. I didn't see her with any of the issues that I deal with. So I don't align myself with a fictional character.
Gotcha.
And so you say, you know what? I'm not trying to be superwoman, but I am trying to be a self-care crusader where I know that I have to pour into me first and then I can pour into other people. I tell women, fill your self-care cup up until it overflows, and then feed your life from the overflow.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's a very intense thing.
Absolutely. And what would you say are like the biggest reasons that people say to you as they work with you why they haven't been able to tackle self-care in a proper and healthy way for themselves?
I think it's the same reason I didn't do it. I think you just, number one, you as women, we're very nurturing. And so we've seen our mothers and grandmothers kind of work a job and come home and clean and cook Sunday sprawl. We've seen this, and that's kind of our model, right? You know, it's like, oh, I'm falling short. I'm not being a good mom or not being a good wife. If the house is clean, oh my gosh, if somebody comes over here, they're gonna judge me. Oh, I'm not skinny enough, or I'm not this enough. We judge ourselves so harshly.
Yeah.
It's just a challenge. It really is. And so, yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. I agree. I think for myself as well, last year I got diagnosed with hypothyroidism, and, you know, and for many years, I was just feeling sluggish and not really paying attention to what was happening to my body, not paying attention to why I felt so crappily. And then when it's like kind of the shit hits the fan, and then you're like, you know, for me, I think the problem is so many of us deal with health from a reactive perspective instead of proactive. And that's problematic, right? Because it's a lot easier to get on top of diabetes before you get it, right? Or to, you know, like, so it's really, that's why, you know, same thing with cancer, right? Like they want people to screen before you get the diagnosis. We all too much deal with the after, right? After I get the ticket, after I get this. And it's like, how about we try to do things before we get to that point? But do you feel like, in our community, like what are some of the maybe external factors that we're dealing with from a health, nutritional, self-care kind of conversation, right? So like everyone, like, you know, there's a consensus, I think, amongst people that say, you know, if you want to do healthier food or options or meal planning, it's not free, right? It's not sunshine and kisses, don't pay for that. How do you deal with that when you're on a limited budget, or, you know, you don't necessarily have a lot of support and resources to change your lifestyle, to better take care of yourself and really love yourself in a better way?
Yeah. And just to say one thing that I think is someone said that was so profound, that prevention is the best cure. So I love what you were saying about active, right? That's great. Now, in terms of the African-American community, yes, we definitely have different socioeconomic issues. But I would say that these challenges, whether you're making $1 million or $10, it is definitely a change in our culture. You can buy a salad at McDonald's. Sometimes it just becomes that we are fighting against some of our traditions, right? Thinking about, you know, the macaroni and cheese and the yams and all those things. It's not bad, but when you have them, you know, you don't have to have them all together. Start thinking about some alternatives. I think that we don't give ourselves permission to think differently. You know what I mean? That trendsetter in our family. It's kind of like, if you imagine if you came in like, everybody, we're not going to do this. They're like, if you don't get out of this kitchen, we like our, you know, a lot of times we hold on so tightly to some of those things that we have to give ourselves permission for healthier alternatives. So that's one. It's definitely food deserts. We definitely have challenges. I think that just access and enough of us being out there so that you see another woman looking like you who is, you know, healthy, where I'm not saying that, you know, look like you're anorexic or anything like that. Healthy doesn't even mean skinny.
No, yeah, you can't see. I love that you said that. Yeah, you can't look at someone and see health. Yeah.
And so it's little things. So this is why I say as it relates to self-care. Start in the morning, right? So you can have things. Google, everybody has Google. You can Google, easy self-care tips. You can, I get free consults all the time. It just has to start with you. You have to know that you deserve it. You have to want it, even if it's new information.
Yeah.
Saying, you know what? Instead of being on Instagram, let me find this. Let me start to follow even people. You have free access to things. You can follow me for free. You can go on Instagram and follow people who are always talking about it, always giving free things out.
Yeah.
Always giving free recipes. So I think that, again, there are free things you can do, right?
Yeah.
But it has to start with the decision. It has to come from you.
Yeah.
And I tell people I'm the bomb at support, but I can't be your decision. The decision has to come from you. And I got you.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I mean, last point I will say is I do find it frustrating, like when you do go to certain, at least here in New York, right? I have family members in like predominantly Black neighborhoods, and I'll drive through and I will see the KFC. I will see the Chinese food. I'll see the bodegas, right? But I don't see the salad bars. I don't see the sandwich. You know what I mean? So it's like, I completely agree with you in saying that, like, I do believe, yes, most people have access to the internet. Not everyone, but most people do. Most people, if they have the desire, like you're talking about, they can go out and they can make that decision and then have the free support that can help kind of fuel the decisions that they have to make. Because health it's a daily decision, right? It's a minute by minute, hour by hour decision, because it's like Coke or water, right? Seltzer or, and so you have to constantly be deciding how you want to be healthier, how you want to love yourself well. But it's like, there's a lot of mixed messaging, right? Because it's like had like Super Bowl, right? Was there a bunch of commercials about salads and sandwiches? No, it's like KFC, burgers, pizza, right? And then they're like, how dare you, not be running 10 miles an hour? And it's like, okay, guys, I mean,
society does not support self-care, and that's the key. You have to align yourself with messages that support what you're trying to do, right? I love what Pasha said.
Health is wealth. That's great. Yeah.
Right. So
absolutely.
I would say that you have to, once you decide, because there's not Gucci stores or there ain't a whole lot of shopping stores either, but you find them. We online. You get, if you don't, do you get stuff delivered to the door? Yes, you can get. We have what's that, Instacart or Insta, where you can get
buy now, and all that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would say that as many roadblocks sometimes we make these obstacles to be able to marry our decision.
Absolutely
align with the decision we made. If we decide that, I don't have access, then you won't have access, right? Ways, be delivered to your door. The same way you call Uber Eats. Peabody delivers too. But no judgment. I get it. I struggle. I see the same thing. I struggle. That's why I tell people I am not a nutritionist. I am a self-care crusader. Like, I'm a women's self-care expert. I will help you embrace self-care without guilt or apology. I have a system. I have done it myself. I practice self-care every day. I'm not a nutritionist. I have a nutritionist because I still understand that I'm still learning and undoing some things from just growing up about.
Definitely.
I still need help making those right choices, they're right for me. I won't say right choices, but I will have to, self-care is not just about health. It's more about self-discovery. It's about not surrendering yourself and your growth, not amputating who you are supposed to be fully, when you become a mom, when you become a wife, when you become an executive. I amputated my growth because of all my hats, because of all the titles I was wearing. I stopped being Marsie. Today, Natasha, y'all see Dr. Marsie, but I'm Marsie. And I've introduced my children to, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Marsie. Because if you see mom, my husband just say, baby, honey, all they see is all the things that I can do for them. They don't see the actual person. And so what I think is important is to be an advocate for your self-care.
Yes.
But you have to first decide that you deserve it and that it's important to you. It's
Absolutely.
not nails, right? That's something superficial. I'm talking real life, getting to know you, being comfortable in your skin, not being able. You remember I was telling somebody, at the car dealership, you see that thing that blow up that is flowing back and forth like this. Sometimes if you just let the wind blow you, you're gonna go anywhere. But self-care really helps you to be grounded in yourself and to know yourself, right? And so when somebody said to me, if my husband says, you know what, Marcie, you're not patient. Before that would have offended me because I didn't know myself well enough to accept what would be perceived as a flaw.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what? I'm very offended. I would be easily offended, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm like, you're right. Yeah, they won't put patience on my tombstone, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'll try. I'll keep trying, baby. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But I know myself. So if you were to make an assessment of me, it wouldn't bother me whether it was or not, because I know myself, and that is what self-care has done for me. Is made me able to walk upright in my own skin.
Absolutely.
That's how people, we make mindless decisions. I was making mindless decisions. And I think that with self-care, there's layers to it. I'm still discovering myself every day. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like just is a beautiful journey that we get railed off of so easily. But the world, society, you are absolutely right, does not support health. Really, the main society does it. But there's you have to find your tribe. You have to find it, and you'll start seeing it. Like, I can't even stand the smell of that stuff anymore. Once you change from the within first.
Yeah, absolutely. And hello, Candace, and everyone tuning in. It's nice to see you, meet you, all of that good stuff. So I'd love to shift gears a little bit. So now, how has your journey, and both, coming from corporate America to, being a pharmacist to being kind of this on your entrepreneurial path, how has that been affected, being a woman and being a person of color?
Ask me again. Say it again.
How has your career, so like from corporate America to kind of departing and really being on your entrepreneurial path, being a pharmacist, like everything that you're doing, that you've done in your career up until now, how has that journey been affected being a woman and then also being a person of color?
So I think that definitely there's racism. There's sexism. I completely agree. I'm sure that I have definitely been a victim of both. I would say that I am very stubborn. I am covered by God's grace and mercy. I am driven. And so you say, how is it being affected? I would say that I refuse to let it affect me. And that because of that, I have the support of my family. I've just grown up with a mother and a father who just supported me and whatever you do, just do a good job. Whatever you do, excellent. So my work ethic is the bomb. And so because of that, I kick down those barriers, right? It's easier for me to kick down those external barriers than to kick down the internal barriers. That was the outside was never my challenge. I graduated with a biology degree, then went on to pharmacy school. By 30, I was a doctor. I had bought my house. That's what I think that was my challenge, Natasha. I had been a winner all this time. My mom, all these other things came on that I couldn't control. That was my challenge. That y'all were messing up my track record. I like to win. I was failing. And so I would say that for me, being a woman, I felt that, and a Black woman probably would, as we're talking, I'm thinking about it, is that I felt like I couldn't fail. I felt like I couldn't let anybody down. I felt I couldn't not know. You know what I mean? And so because of that, I just kept churning and churning and churning. And that probably, I'm sure that resonates with a lot of women because I don't feel like we could say we tired or I can't do it.
Yeah.
We feel like we have the weight of the world on our shoulders. And I certainly felt that. I think for a long time, I was just too stupid to know what it was. I was so caught up. I did not allow myself to even assess that that's what was happening.
Yeah.
And I can imagine how, heart disease, again, is the #1 killer of women. You got to think stress, a cardiovascular disease, all that weighs in, right? You know, well woman visits, all those things weigh into how our body processes our success, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Okay. Now, would you say if, you know, when thinking back through, you know, what made you, were there things that really outside of what you already mentioned of just like your fortitude, your family support, your spiritual and faith base, like were there other things that really you held on to keep you and make you the winner that you are?
But my mom's a winner. And I felt like I felt that I had a great model. And she actually is the founder of the Ubiquitous Women's Expo in DC. She's a very successful businesswoman. She's very strong. And I think that sometimes I had to find my own self. You know what I mean? Sometimes having a strong role model can also be something that you can get lost in.
Yeah.
So she never, you know, she's always like, I'm so proud of you. And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to be like you. And she'd be like, always, no, be yourself.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just having women around you that help you give yourself permission to find yourself, to be where you are, you know, to fully accept who you are when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm here right now. I've always been somebody who looks like, oh, I'm trying to get better at this. I want to do this better. And I'm learning now, this is where my self-care journey is taking me now, is that I want to be fully who I am right now.
Yeah.
Right? Because tomorrow's not promised to me. If I keep on looking for tomorrow's Marsie of tomorrow, I'm not really present here.
Gotcha.
And that's a new thing for me right now.
Yeah.
Like, new self-discovery. And like I said, practicing self-care is always a new layer that you find out about yourself, a new awareness that you have. That's a surprise. It's really a surprise to me. I'm like, wow, this thing is deeper than I ever thought it was going to be. It was deeper than I thought it was going to be. I never expected it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Now, what brings us here tonight is to really talk about Sistas on Fire and why you're such a sister on fire. And just to get everyone up to speed, Sistas on Fire is a play that was actually produced around 10 years ago, formerly known as Diary of a Mad Black Feminist, now Sistas on Fire. And it was started by two women, one, my mother-in-law, Marsie McNair, the co-playwright and founder, former Essence editor, Nassau Community College professor, published author, really a real Renaissance woman, and her counterpart, Professor Anissa Moore, both professor, author, activist, politician, you know, both really women who are on fire, whether they want to be or not. And they put together this kind of compilation of stories and prose and really just kind of diving deep into what the Black woman narrative and experiences in America. So it's a really phenomenal play. We start production February 22nd to March 17th at the East Village Playhouse. I have a poem in it called Black Beauty. I'm just really excited to see the new production. And, you know, people can go to sistasonfire.com if they're interested, SISTAS. So, but what's great is I started the IRL online conversation because I was like, in between productions, I was like, well, I don't want the fire to go out. I want to celebrate real life examples. And when I saw you and your platform, I was like, clearly a sister on fire.
Yes. I feel the same way about you.
Thank you. So now when you hear the term Sister on Fire, yes, exactly. Thank you. What does that mean to you? How does that resonate with you?
I think a sister doing her thing without apology. I think this is the thing, a trailblazer. Like a trailblazer is a woman that's given herself permission not to be not to be status quo, right? Yeah. Not to need to have a model in order to do what she knows she's called to do.
Yes.
Right. But that's a journey, right? Some people maybe are born sisters on fire, but I think it is a journey of self-discovery. And then you realize, you know what? I have a purpose. A purpose-driven woman is to me a sister on fire. A woman who is going after her own dreams.
Yeah.
Not they look like anybody else's is a sister on fire. I love it. A woman who puts herself first without guilt or apology is a sister on fire.
I love that. Yes.
Love it.
Gosh. So in your life, you mentioned mom, right? And how powerful she is. Shout out to mom. Who was there anyone else in your life, either professionally or personally, that were sisters on fire to you?
Oh man, I have a lot. So my grandmother, I would say that. My Aunt Gail, she actually has her own jewelry making company. She makes jewelry from hand, like it's amazing, handcrafted jewelry, amazing, amazing, amazing. My daughter, Alicia, she actually is a spoken word artist too. I have so many women who have, I think, in my immediate circle, but that circle is growing. Like, I think that once you are on your own path, you feel like oh, hey girl. It's like you don't have to be on the same path to be going in the same direction. So I find that I meet so many amazing, amazing women who are on fire. Like my growth, my circle is just getting bigger and stronger and better. And I'm so thankful to be around so many great women who lift me up. They're like, you're great. I'm like, you're great. Like, wonderful.
I love it.
It's just amazing. And so many of them are actually Dr. Valika Moore. He is here. Candace Camille is here. Dr. Kiva Cole, Gwen, Pasha Carter. Pasha told me, Natasha, and that's why I started actually going live on Facebook. Because going live, I don't know what it was like for you, but for me, I was nervous. I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be right. My lighting had to be right. Everything had to be perfect. And Pasha said to me, start before you're ready.
Yeah, absolutely. That's brilliant.
You know what I mean? And it was so simple. She said, start before you're ready. And that was key for me, because if you keep on waiting, you're never really ready, right? Yeah. You're only ready by doing. I can only imagine you with the play, everything that you how many roadblocks did you just mental roadblocks to come up with for being able to be that model, right? Being a trailblazer, doing things that no one's done. So where are you looking to when you're doing something new?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. What I like to do with my own clients and people that I work with as a coach, as a content creator, is to remember that every single person on this earth has equal value. So there's no one more important or less important than anyone else. And then secondly, the idea that we're all work in progress, right? Like Beyonce, now as we love Queen Bee, did not start out that way, right? Like everyone, you can look at anyone in any position in their life. They had to grow. No one is born an expert. No one is born their adult self, right? So we're all growing and working and developing. So that doesn't change, and you should never stop developing, right? Like I hope to be 100 years old, learning something new, growing, developing, inspiring, it's just constant just work. But yeah, for me, I mean, I've been doing public speaking since I was like a child. So I love it. But the perfectionist that I had to unravel, because it was affecting my self-care as well, is that, like nothing will be perfect. You'll be talking and then beep, or my dog will come in, it's all crazy.
Or the Facebook Live won't work.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But you innovate, you don't give up, you figure it out. The door is closed, you climb through a window. That's what people do. And that's what our people do, right? Of all people in this world, we know how to get stuff.
It's not working. Oh, give me some aluminum foil. Like we work it out. We're innovators, natural innovators for sure. Yeah. I love it. I love it so much.
Absolutely. So I know you're busy, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. So can you share with the Sistas on Fire family, and of course your platform as well, just how can people get in touch with you? Do you have any upcoming announcements, things like that?
Okay. Yes. So everybody can get in touch with me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Periscope, YouTube as Dr. Marsie, and it's DrMarsie. I've actually created on my website, which is www.healthyandhappycoaching.com. I've actually created a woman's self-care guide, and I'm giving it away for free. So if you go on my page, healthyandhappycoaching.com, you can download it completely free, and it will really help you to get started on that decision that you need to make self-care a part of your everyday life.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I love it. I'm always on I'm always somewhere talking. I rant all the time about women's health, and I'm going to keep on doing it about it until light bulbs just start to go off. And I'm with you, like, no judgment. It's hard. Society does not support women's self-care.
Yeah,
absolutely. It says, do more. You're the woman. You're not doing more. You are less than a woman. You know. And so I am there to help guide women on how can I incorporate daily self-care into my very busy life. And
absolutely. Well, I definitely, I salute you and thank you for all the wisdom and also just kind of that, I think, like, that great, like, you can do it. Yes, there are lots of distractors, but I love when you said, you have to make the decision. And once people get there, then there's people like you that they can turn to, Sistas on Fire, that are going to be there championing them. But like, we have to arrive at that decision first and foremost. And so really, it's a simple question of, like, do you love yourself enough to take care of yourself? Because, I ask my clients as well, just like, if I'm talking to a mother, would you do anything for your child? Of course I would do anything for my child, but yet you wouldn't do anything for yourself, right? Like, you have to see the disconnect as to how we love others comparatively to how we love ourselves. Mm-hmm. There's a disconnect, and more people are doing more for others than they would do for themselves. And like they say on the airplane, put your own mask on first.
Yeah.
Or you die.
Right, because, and I tell people, you don't know why they say that? Because you can't help anybody if you passed out.
Exactly. Right. You can only give if you have something to give. So, I think that that's really, really key. And I just thank you. And I just, I want to champion you. And I really appreciate you sharing your story. And I can't wait to just continue to promote you and everything that you're doing. And excited to check out that guide. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm so proud of you. Right back to you are doing amazing, amazing things. I might try to get a bus trip. Who in the DMV want to go to New York for this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. I'm so proud of you. Oh my God. Good job. Yeah, I salute you.
Thank you.
Doing what you're doing, and make sure you ask for help. Make sure that you're balancing, you're asking yourself questions. That's a big undertaking. And we thank you in advance for doing it.
Thank you. Yeah. So you guys, if you get 5 tickets or more tickets, there's a group discount. So they drop down. So yes, if 5 of y'all can come out and y'all or more, right, come out and see the play. It's really transformative. It's interactive. You'll hear about things that make us mad as women, as people of color. You'll hear about things that make us sad, that break our heart, that makes us cry, right? But we have to work through those motions. And what we need to do is find unity, because it is not something that we need to deal with alone, and it is happening everywhere. It's not, just New York or Massachusetts, or it's everywhere globally. The humanity issues that people of color deal with is really troubling, right? And so let's have a play and have that experience and talk about it and really engage. So if you can make it, we would love to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm so excited that we connected and got through. The technology won't stop us.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Have a good evening. Okay.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.